I look around a lot just because I want to see where people are and I want to race. But yeah, I've tried to like bring it down a little bit. I used to hear a lot about it when I was an age group swimmer from other coaches, from my parents, no matter who it was.
Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got a full crew: Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and fresh off of another meet, Trenton Julian. What's going on, man? How are you?
Pretty good. I'm actually up here in Berkeley right now. Kind of have a little goodbye party for one of my roommates back when I was here. So just while they moved to the East Coast, come up for a weekend.
Sure looks like a college environment with the 2021 men's swimming and diving champs banner in the background. How about like being an elder statesman on a team and you get to take all the banners and signage down from Pac-12s and NCs and all that? That's fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, dude. So we asked our audience on Instagram some questions. We got a few from them. The first is, first experience shaving your legs. Tell us about that.
Oh, that's hard. First experience shaving, I actually remember in general was it was called like leagues, I guess, for high school. And it was, I think my freshman year, maybe sophomore year, but hadn't really ever thought about shaving. And my dad, my coach, whatever, kind of came up to me and was like, let's just like try just shaving face and arms and see how it goes. And I remember like not really knowing what I was doing and just going into the meet, and I never really had any facial hair. So it was just like shaving and didn't really feel like I did anything. But I hit the water and it just feels like the water is not even like touching me. I just remember that weird feeling was like the first time I was like, okay, like this feels pretty cool.
All right, who's your favorite teammate to shave partner with, and let's shave your back?
I don't know. A lot of the time recently has been just shaving on my own, but I remember a couple meets now I've had shaving partners with Tom, and Tom, the experience, he knows what he's doing, so it's pretty easy just getting it done, getting pretty quick through with him. So I'd say Tom Fields. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Tom, Tom submitted, and he would like to know when we see in a 50-point.
Hopefully soon. A lot more speed work, a lot more strength work coming in. So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Tom, this is a couple years ago now, but Tom once told us that he was the fastest underwater kicker in the world. Do you believe that was ever true?
I think it'd be true, especially, distance. I think there are guys that are really quick off the blocks and really quick off those first underwater kicks. Just consistent speed. Tom, I think, has many people beat.
Yeah, he did say it was the third turn that he was the fastest. Nobody's faster than the third turn. Yeah, as well.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
All right, no shade to John's neighbors there in the Seattle area. Marshawn is not Cal's greatest football alum ever, but Aaron Rodgers is. And is he going to the Jets or is he retiring, Trenton?
Honestly, I don't watch NFL a ton, but I feel like he'll keep going at least another season.
All right, you heard it here first. Okay. Give us the update on that's enough for those questions. What's you had some good swims in Fort Lauderdale, 155, good 2 free. How'd you feel about the meet there in southern Florida?
Oh, that was actually my first time in Florida, so I loved it out there. I'm always a big fan of the warmer weather, like 80 degrees felt like perfect to me, honestly. But for the swims itself, I felt pretty good about. My stroke in general, I was looking at video and kind of going through my own race plan and stuff, and I felt pretty heavy, but I feel like I executed my races basically how I wanted to for all the way through 100 fly, 200 fly, 200 free. I was pretty happy with the 200 free, especially just because I wasn't quite comfortable or confident in my freestyle moving in. My fly is always able to kind of hit pace. My free is always kind of hit or miss. So I was pretty excited about how that one went, especially.
Yeah, it looks like obviously on the women's side there were some fast swims with Summer McIntosh throwing down. And what did you think was the swim of the meet? Was it Ilya blasting by you on that last 50 or the 2.5? That was pretty sick.
That was pretty crazy. Yeah, I was kind of going into the race thinking, 155 would be great. That'll probably be like the top end guys. And I saw him blow by me the last 50. And it's like, wow, like I'm hitting a wall. I'm definitely going to be like 157 at best. I kind of turned around and saw the 54.4. I remember talking to him before, and he had like told me his best time was around 56, 6 mid or something. And I thought that was like he had a lot more in him and he could go faster, of course. But 154 right now, February, that was not expected. But probably it's hard to say swimming the meet, honestly, for me. I definitely think has to be on the women's side. Those the swims from Summer and Reagan were pretty quick all the way through.
Yeah, speaking of recent swims, Keely McEwen broke the 200 back world record. Like you said, Reagan had a great 200 back at the Fort Lauderdale as well. And any initial thoughts to the 200 back world record going down? And geez, still in March?
Yeah, I mean, I was super surprised. I saw that like early this morning when I woke up, and I saw it not even on one of the like media sites. So I was like, is this like a recent thing? Like this just happened? And
Is this
I was
real?
yeah, exactly. I was like I ended up looking up like all through like the splits and the social and the just reports about it. I was like, wow, that's a really fast time to hit right now. And I have no idea where they are in their training or where she is, but that's it'll be pretty fun to watch that 200 back battle.
What do you think about the concept of having music playing during the meet? Should we do this at every meet?
I like it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of guys are putting on headphones anyway, so I don't think it really affects a lot of people in that sense. But other than like when we're getting behind the blocks, getting ready and kind of needs to be silent, why not have music? Why not have something playing so we're not just hearing water splashing or whatever's going on in the race?
What do you think would be your least favorite song to listen to while you're racing?
That's hard. I've never really been a fan of like, I guess, classical music, just because that's always kind of putting me in like taking a nap or something, you know?
Some Beethoven.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I wanted to get into your family history a little bit because it's so epic that you're the offspring of two national teamers. I'm maybe that's happened before to have a national teamer have parents who are too. But have you ever talked to your parents about pump up songs or like what got them fired up?
Yeah, I actually talked to my dad about this a lot, especially in high school, because I was, trying to find songs to listen to before. And I honestly, like with my parents, we listened to a lot of country when I was growing up. So that wasn't really something I was going to listen to before a race to get myself ready. So I remember talking to my dad, and he said before a race, he would kind of find this like secluded area and sit down. And a song he would almost always listen to is Eye of the Tiger. So I've like almost always had that on my playlist since then.
That reminds me of walkouts at Auburn dual meets. Hell yeah.
A good one.
Yeah, it's got to be like the number one Auburn walkout song, huh, B?
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
I never thought about it, but yeah, it's got to be. It's classic.
Ours was Mortal Kombat theme song from 1995. And we used to have these
Nice.
big like ghetto blasters, like boom boxes. And
Ghetto
so
blasters.
cool. We came out of the locker room and we played it, and we thought we were the coolest shit. Man,
Yeah.
19 again. Anyway.
Yeah. Other than that, like I know a big kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Tradition for the Cal group before a dual meet. I remember coming in my freshman year, and this was like I think Ryan Murphy's one of his top songs to put on before a dual meet was Sandstorm or something. It was just kind of getting everyone pumped up and ready to go, especially in the Cal locker room where everyone's just kind of jumping and getting ready to race. Yeah.
Did Murph turn the lights down low and get the glow sticks out?
I never got to experience it with him. I came in right when he was gone, so I can't say. Yeah.
Oh, Florida people, Jacksonville showing up strong right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Yeah,
I want to take it back to Kaylee's swim today and Tom Shields and then how you just swam and Ilya swim. Tom told us a couple of years ago, and it was right in the middle of ISL, that he was just learning to swim fast on any given day. Like he was training body like any given day, he could just put down a fast time and go for it. And that's something he worked on. And it seemed like, Kaylee just did that at the state championship meet. Do you need a lot of rest to swim fast? Have you changed in how you are able to swim fast? And if you were pumped up enough and got ready, you could drop a 154 like that, or are the kind of someone that needs that good rest still, or in between?
I definitely feel like I've kind of gone up and down through that through my college career and now as a pro. Definitely when I started out my freshman year, I was definitely that swimmer that needed the rest and I needed to kind of get my body ready. And it was hard for me to get up and race when I wasn't fully prepared.
Yeah.
And then as I got through the college experience, I feel like I really got to the point where I could race no matter when, no matter what time. If Dave told me we're suiting up tomorrow, go fast. It was all right. I start my plan at night. I get ready, and I'm getting up and ready to go in the morning, and I can swim fast then. But definitely thinking about now and like my racing this past weekend, I think I'm able to race at a certain level, even in season or if I'm broken down or anything. But I feel like the rest will definitely help me come in the end of the season.
Do you think it's easier to get up and race when you want short course over long course, especially because you're underwaters? And because I'm thinking back in the World Cup circuit back in the fall, you put together some really strong back-to-back swims in close proximity, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think I was able to kind of push through the short course swims, no matter what, if it's yards or meters. It's kind of just that I can get my tempo up and kind of just get off a turn, do a couple of kicks. Even if my kicks aren't the best, I still can kind of ride them into my stroke pretty well and keep that rhythm. Whereas long course, it's really that, kind of got to be ready to go and ready to hold it for a while. And if I'm starting to feel pain, starting to fall off, it's hard to figure out a way to kind of get back into my stroke for a long course swim.
Totally.
You mentioned earlier that, the fly, usually you can be more consistent with it, but free is a little more inconsistent. I was almost opposite. My fly was never on until I was tapered. Do you think it has any correlation with just, being rested and that being it? Or is it more of just being, it being the right time, or it just, being the right groove for you?
Right. Yeah. I mean, personally, it's less about like the feeling of being better during taper for fly for me as it is I can hit specific times, like my 200 pace goal times are easier for me to hit butterfly than freestyle, just because I feel like I have more of that easy speed and fly than I do in freestyle, which I mean shows when I'm going out in my 200 fly versus when I'm going out in my 200 free. So it's just anytime I'm doing 200 pace free, I feel like I'm kind of having to just kind of push down and go pretty hard on it. Whereas fly, I can go pretty long, pretty easy, and kind of hit that time. Then if I go it again, that I can go a little, just pick up tempo a little bit, go a little bit harder, but not go into the well.
You mentioned the way that you swim. You're one of those swimmers, it seems like from the outside looking in, who you've got a way that you need to swim the race. And I'm curious at this point in your career if if the way that you swim a fast 200 fly is you have to let the easy speed go. And if you do it a different way, it just doesn't work out. Like if you try to save a little bit. And I mean, I remember actually listening to Brett talk about like Caesar getting ready to break the world record and how to do it. It's like maxing the easy speed. And we were talking about Anthony Irvin the other day and how much easy speed he had. And it's like, watching him swim 100 free at the, I think 2016 trials where, he just was out of the gates, like second 25, just go. And he had to go because he was going to finish the race just fine, but he was going to hold on the same way to finish the race, regardless of whether he went for that, and let the easy speed go or didn't. Like saving a little bit of that easy speed wasn't doing anything to the back end. Is that the way you feel about your butterfly races?
A little bit, yeah. I've always had the thought, 200 fly is going to hurt no matter what. So why saving a little bit the first 50? That for me personally, that doesn't feel like it's going to help me. But then I feel like my race plan always kind of came from when I was younger, because I never had that 100 speed when I was younger. My best time going into trials in 100 fly was 54. So I never really had that early speed. I never thought I had the power or speed in my fly. So it was always go out fast. So I'm staying with people and then kind of finish. And then as I got stronger, as I got through college, I had that early speed and my race plan didn't really change. So then I just ended up going out faster. And I feel like right now, like I don't feel anything's wrong with my race plan. I feel like I'm just kind of working towards that, being able to finish, being able to kind of pull it all together. Working a lot right now with different tempos, kind of messing around with where my stroke needs to be, if I need to be a little bit longer the first, messing around with being able to pick up my tempo during 200 pace in practice and hold it at that tempo for a 50, 350s, however long it is.
To throw some shade at a SC alum, have you ever had a 200 meltdown like Rebecca Sony, where just the piano fell on you?
Oh, definitely. I don't know. I don't even know like a specific one in mind, but I've definitely had that feeling where nothing's working. I can barely pick my arms out of the water. You know, it's just painful to even finish, and I don't even want to turn around and look at the clock afterwards.
What's the most painful finish you've ever seen in a race, you think?
Painful finish I've ever seen?
Yeah.
That's hard. I don't know. I mean,
I'm going to preempt this. I think Michael Andrews' 200 IMs in the last couple of years were pretty tough to watch. Great dude. No shade at Michael Andrew. He's awesome. But that race strategy is just really hard to watch the last few meters of freestyle.
Yeah, I mean, like he's still going faster than from almost anyone here, but it's hard to watch. And I mean, I can feel that coming home on fly sometimes, but for freestyle, I just see the first like 15. I think, oh, this is going to be a rough last 20. But I mean, he gets to the wall, but in terms of like the pro scene and kind of this upper level, yeah, it's probably one of the toughest. Because obviously, I mean, I've seen guys on my club team when I was younger, 50 freestylers doing a 200 fly, and that's always hard to watch the last 25 of that.
But like you kind of said, I mean, easy speed can be deceptive sometimes too, especially in butterfly, right? It's like, oh man, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling, exactly. So you mentioned playing around with tempos and all those things. Is that something you only use in practice, or do you actually try to think about those things during a race, like maybe the Pro Series where you're still playing around things, maybe even stroke counts?
Mm-hmm. A little bit. It's less of thinking about it in the race and more just trying to put it together and warm up towards my body's already feeling that tempo and feeling that rhythm in my stroke, and then seeing how it plays out in the race, kind of looking back afterwards at my strokes, on my tempos, and seeing how different it was compared to my best times. You know, they send out those kind of numbers every time. So it's nice to be able to kind of check through those. And I always notice my prelims is sometimes the only place it changes, but it's good to see those. And then even after this last one, especially when I've talked to my dad about our plan and everything, changing the tempos, especially at the end of the races. The kind of tempo I've played with around a lot is having like a 1-1 type tempo with fly, but I've never really tried to push it faster unless I'm doing the 100 butterfly and kind of pushing that last 25. But the main focus now has been trying that first 50. I'm having a hard time being as long, so I'm trying to pull that back a little bit to a 1-2, and then it gradually, as I get through the race, progress to where I can finish at a 1-1, and my arms aren't completely dying because I pushed it too much in the middle. And even if I'm losing power, I'm still having my tempo up enough to where I can finish the race a little better.
Yeah, with watching your racing, one of the things that I've noticed is kind of your breath. You seem to come up a little higher than maybe some of the other swimmers that really, keep their chin on their water line and things like that. Are there any things technically that you're working on, or do you think technically things are feeling pretty good and now it's, like you said, more just honing in the ideal race with that full race strategy?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that problem has come to me, especially when I rest, because when I'm in season, my body's feeling a little heavier. I'm really forcing myself to be able to come up enough to be able to breathe. And when I'm resting, I definitely notice I've had that problem where my body's coming up, my head and body's coming up a little more than I want it to. And I can't tell if I'm, using too much for that or if that's affecting the end of my race. As far as I know right now, my coaches have said it looks fine where it is. We can look at messing around with it if we notice it in practice, and it's something that's easily to change. But otherwise, I feel like it's been all right now. I think most of that just comes from the way my rhythm and my stroke goes, because a lot of my stroke is about rhythm, and messing around with that just makes my stroke a little flatter, I think. And that's not really the way I want to go, especially for a 200 butterfly.
Plus, if you put your head along the water and you push your neck out, right? How do you look to the right or to look to the left? Do you look? Exactly. And does that help you?
I've always actually gotten a lot of talk back about this, but I look around a lot just because I want to see where people are and I want to race. But Yeah. I've tried to like bring it down a little bit. I used to hear a lot about it when I was an age group swimmer from other coaches, from my parents, no matter who it was.
So what happens in that last 25 of a 200 short course meters race, and you're looking to your right and Chad looks to your left? Do you guys like make monkey faces at each other? What do you do? How talk about you and Chad racing?
I remember when we were doing that in the World Cup, especially the Toronto one, he was a couple lanes over, so I didn't see him until like the last wall. And I just saw him coming on. I was like, oh, all right, he's coming. But yeah, no, he's cool. He's a great racer. He's really fun to race, especially in that 200 butterfly.
Yeah, you guys went back and forth in the World Cup circuit a little bit, and you know, he was gunning for you because you took him down in Toronto, right? And and it was a nice race in the Indy. Talk about that some more. I mean, does that really push you? And do you like that little rivalry? Do you like that little competition and keeps you going? Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like with college swimming, you get that kind of elite level racing, but being at the World Cup and being able to race Chad is literally multiple time world champion. It's just a different feeling, and being able to like, get him on a touch is a great feeling for me, knowing I can race him and be with him. Obviously, didn't have a great Worlds at the end, but looking to kind of change that around, and really fix some of my end of the season kind of racing with my new training I've been doing. That was, I think, a couple of months into my new training, so it was weird with the training into resting into trying to force that into such a small amount of time. So I'm feeling a lot more confident right now in where I'm at and kind of where I can lead going forward.
I saw Chad in the hallway after you beat him at the Toronto World Cup, and he was walking out, and he goes, "Next week I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him."
Yeah. No, I definitely heard a little bit of that. He was eager to go. He was ready to race again.
Go ahead, Luke.
No, I was going to. Shields and Leclerc went back and forth quite a lot, and they're obviously great friends as well. And how much do you swim out of your lane when you are racing? How often do you race, or you just swim in your lane? Do you know what I mean?
Right. I'm always trying to swim in my lane and always trying to swim my race, but once I see someone, I don't like letting them just go.
Yeah.
Especially beginning with 200 fly, someone like me who likes to go out fast. If I see someone going out, I'll race them.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if I'm just swimming my race and I, kind of in my own lane, I'm going out no matter what anyways. And if someone's there on the end, I'll try to race them as much as I can, but it's hard to really push or change stroke on fly.
Who goes out the fastest in a 200 fly in the world?
Long course?
Yeah.
I mean, Milak. 51.
Nobody's faster than him, right? Yeah.
51.8. I don't think so.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So Trent, you grew up being coached by your dad. You go to Cal, great training program, and you make the decision post Cal to go back south. You did your super senior year, so you got your money's worth up there. What's the deal? Like, just can take the kid out of SoCal, but can't take the SoCal out of the kid. You had to go back.
Yeah.
What's it like?
I mean, I always enjoyed living in SoCal, and it was obviously my favorite place to be. A little different now, like kind of being out of the city of LA and more down in Orange County, where it's a little bit slower pace, a little nicer, relaxed, and everything. But that decision kind of came even before I knew about the pro group and everything. I'd kind of finished my fifth year. I didn't think I did very well or anything. Wasn't feeling great in the water. So I was kind of like, okay, Dave, I need like at least 2 months to go back home, kind of recollect and everything. And then it ended up being my dad got this job as the head coach of the pro group. And I was like, I think I want to try this out. I enjoyed swimming with my dad or swimming for my dad for 4 years in high school. It's super easy for me to trust him. We talk about swimming almost every day anyways, even out of the water. So it's just really easy for me to just kind of communicate with him and be on top of everything, even outside of the water. So I just kind of wanted to take that step and see where it would go.
What's it like though in the group now? Who do you have to train with? I mean, obviously I know Russ is down there with you. Who else is down there? And like, has that been an adjustment for you to have less of the team environment with a lot of people to race and pace with on a daily basis, especially swimming the events that you do?
Definitely, yeah. Coming from Cal, where there's literally any race I want to race, there's someone there and someone that can beat me. So that was pretty amazing to be a part of and kind of have that push me to the level I'm at now for 4 or 5 years. But now in SoCal, I kind of go up and down groups and train with different people. Obviously, I have Justin in the sprint group where I can kind of, try to look at him for getting that power. He's probably one of the most powerful swimmers I know. So it's really awesome to kind of see that and kind of try to see what I can take into my stroke, especially the freestyle and that side of my swimming, like for the 100 free especially. But when I kind of go up, I have we actually have David Heron, open water swimmer. So I once in a while will go up with him and train with him when he's coming down and doing a little less. But as a 200 butterflier, I always need to go up to a distance at least a week, once or twice a week, just to get some of that yardage in, have that training under my belt. So I'll do some like 400 type training with him, and that'll be good. Just kind of trying to stay with him as we get longer and longer. So obviously I have that speed that I can stay with him, but being able to do it for I don't know how many thousands yards is definitely the harder part.
Yeah.
But actually recently we had a guy from Cal, Jared Hatch. He was a training partner up in Berkeley with me, and he didn't take his 5th year at Cal, but decided to come out of retirement and join the pro group where he's representing the Philippines now. He swims pretty much 100 fly, 50 fly, and the sprint freestyles.
What about the rest of the group? And what's the plan for growing that group out? Because I feel like these things fluctuate. The pro groups that are away from college teams, we've kind of seen them come and go. I trained at Team Elite for a little while, and it seems like that has kind of disbanded, even the West Coast operation, and I don't know. So they've popped up over time, but I'm glad to see another move with a club team to create a pro post grad kind of situation. So can you talk about a little bit of the strategy of the group? Are you actively recruiting people to come there and join, Super Team Julian?
Right. I've had this talk with my parents. They sat down with our group and anyone that's looking to come, and it's less of us trying to recruit people and more just having the opportunity. My mom swam pro at USC for a while, and it was really hard for her staying on the college team after she was pro and kind of continuing being the age and the level she was at, continuing to stay with the college group and college environment. So she had always wished there was something like this around her time and area. And Mission Viejo is right next to USC, so she always says if she had this, she definitely would have taken the opportunity and wants to create something that she would have wanted to be a part of. And even my dad, we've talked about this, it's always open. If someone wants to come and train, we have the facility, we have possible room and board if someone needed, and if they just wanted to come down for a week, training or kind of getting out of where they're at right now, it's a perfect place for that. And that's kind of why it was named more of a performance center instead of a just professional group.
You mentioned room and board. Just from the outside, there's been a lot being mentioned of pro group starting, but particularly in Southern California, I feel like that haven't really panned out. And one thing I always thought was perhaps it's the cost, right? We all know California is a very expensive place to live. Not many pro swimmers are making a ton of money. So do you think that's something that's limiting it? And kind of how does that room and board work? Is that subsidized by anyone, or is that just someone rooming and bunking with you?
No, it's the price of avocado toast, John.
Oh, what is it, $10, $15 bucks now?
Oh, I don't even know. But yeah, the room and board is kind of there is a few options right now. Obviously, I brought up when my dad was first taking this, we're in California, especially Southern California. It's not cheap to live here. It's not easy for a lot of people to kind of uproot from somewhere else and kind of decide to live here. So I went back and forth with them trying to figure out what would be a good option for that. And something actually Justin did for his first few months out here, because I was still up north while he was first starting here, because I was still finishing college. And he actually stayed with the host family where I think for 3 or 4 months. And that's actually something Mission Viejo has done before, where they take swimmers who want to kind of relocate or even high school swimmers. I know Michael Brinegar, when he came out to Mission Viejo in high school, he was actually with the same family that Justin was with. And it's I don't know exact prices. That's something that would have to be discussed probably later. But is basically staying with this host family that offers a room that they have open from a kid that moved out or something, and they basically would offer it up, and it's just kind of an easier space. Obviously, they rent it out for cheaper than what you could get probably anywhere else. And then even aside from that, I've talked to a bunch of guys I know, and if they want to come down for a week, there's always a couch or something open for any of the guys on our team or in our pro group right now.
Dude, your mom was pro when you could get sponsored by Bud Light and stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Did she, have you ever talked to her about like swimming pro and, what her experience was like as you're in this space now?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, she talked about how she had signed with Nike and how that was huge for her and kind of definitely opened up a lot of opportunities. But just in terms of pro swimming in the side, she always talked about Matt Biondi and I think it was Gary Hall, how they were kind of like the first advocates of just like pushing that pro side of swimming and kind of getting that all encompassing. Whether I don't remember exactly about just the sponsorship side, but even just like the support side of the swimming.
Yeah, it's I mean, she came along at the right time when I guess when it first started to open up, right? Because I don't know, I don't know when that happened. Sometime in the 80s, probably, where they lifted the amateurism requirement for the Olympic
something
team.
Around there. Yeah, she always says it was kind of like on the back end of when they were starting that, and that was kind of like the older guys their way out, and kind of her first starting, because I mean she started national team when she was, I don't know, 15, 16.
Yeah, dude, real talk. We're all aware that swim cess is a thing, and like, bro, you're a product of it.
I know my parents have actually both grew up in Southern California too, so they were kind of both the studs or whatever of Southern California swimming for a long time. And they actually told me a story of when they were growing up. My dad was dating or was going on a date with a friend of my mom, and the parents didn't let them go alone, so they both had to bring a friend. So my dad brought a friend, and my mom's friend brought my mom. And it was some amusement park or something, but that was always like, I think their first their first experience like really meeting each other or whatever. But yeah, funny story. And then they didn't start even dating until junior year in college, and they were both same year. They're both freshmen at the same time, and didn't start dating until, I want to say, till around junior year.
It's so crazy looking at your mom's. I mean, your parents both had a ton of success. Your mom, obviously, a little bit better of the two, but she at her last meet, I guess it was the last big meet, 98 Worlds. I mean, retires after that, and then gets pregnant with you. Like, what couldn't have been 2 months later? I mean, do you feel like that's why you're a good swimmer, the child of swimmers? And then, like, right in her prime, your mom's like, "Okay, I'm gonna birth the next U.S. swimming star."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a bunch of stories of my parents, still being at USC and having me. Whether that's like bringing me on the pool deck. They said my mom was still swimming after she had me, so she'd bring me on the pool deck and kind of have me just crawl around and walk around. And she said she'd be working out, and I'd start crawling to the water. And then instead of like having her like stop working out, she said Mark Schubert would tell her to just keep working, and then he would go and grab me.
Swimming in pregnancy is super helpful for pregnancy. I like doing breaststroke, kicking it back up to like the day you almost give birth. It's supposed to be really, really good for the hips. And so a lot of swimmers swim right. Kelsey Dahlia, all these people, they all swim right up. Dana Vollmer did, And
Yeah, I was actually talking to my mom recently when she saw, I think, Vollmer still swimming while she was pregnant for a while, and like they didn't realize back then like how good it was for you. Like they always thought, no, don't swim, don't move around too much. So she always like kind of talked about how like she wished she had kind of like swam a little bit more through it, and then kind of been able to kind of do that transition afterwards too. Because not swimming while you're pregnant the whole time is pretty hard to get back into it after.
Man, you're going to be like a science experiment now. People go, oh, look at this. Look at what can happen.
Yeah.
Did your parents ever give you shit for not going to SC?
No, I mean, obviously they wanted me to go to SC, and my dream was honestly to go to SC for a long time, but they're super supportive, and they're always behind me wherever I wanted to go. And they saw the program at Cal, they saw the team, they talked to Dave, they saw the whole environment they have, and they were pretty confident it'd be good for me.
So beyond the kind of the coaching tutelage of your dad in high school, and then now, and then sharing some stories with your mom went through her own kind of ups and downs through her swimming career. Ended up coming away with hardware at the Atlanta Olympics, and but didn't make the team in '92, and arguably she was favored to get on the team there, and even in '96 had DQs and some of her best events at trials. I mean, so you've had your ups and downs a little bit, but obviously are coming into some of your best swimming in the lead ups to Paris, and I think your timing's really good. Have you kind of picked her brain on the mentality and some of the learnings that she had throughout those experiences for her in the '90s?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've kind of talked through her stories and stuff and everything about '92. She was diagnosed with mono and kind of tried to race through it, and just wasn't a good meet. Just nothing kind of went right, and it's just really hard for her to kind of go through that and know that she was a favorite to go, and kind of have that dream almost taken away, and have to wait another 4 years to kind of go through that. But especially the '96 games, I think I took a lot away from that, because the 4IM, that was her race. That was her race to lose, basically. We don't talk about it a ton, obviously, but I have had some conversations with my dad, and he remembers watching the prelim, and he said it was the easiest race he thinks she's ever had, and had no doubt that she would have gone a good 3-4 seconds faster than her best time ever, and been well under what it took to make the team.
What did she get DQ'd for?
It was I believe it was the back to breast turn, something about being on your side. Mm-hmm. But the problem was the rule wasn't a FINA rule. So the rule, if it had been called at the Olympics, wouldn't have been a DQ. It was only called by one ref at the US trials, and it was somehow a rule that they had, and there was no camera, there was no footage. If one ref called it, then it was called.
Do you think that's good for swimming? Like, I've always thought that coaches should actually have the challenge flag in their sock and be able to throw it in the pool. I mean, I know you can appeal, but you can only appeal if there's been an infraction ruled on your swimmer. I think you can't appeal an infraction by another swimmer. Coaches right and let us know. I'm not sure, but I think that'd be cool if you could,
I mean, there was a lot of pushback and people trying to get it overturned, and a lot of people, but there was just nothing anyone could do once it was called. So,
man,
but yeah, I know. I was actually given or my mom was given a book recently, or a couple of years ago now, probably before I was in high school. I remember seeing it, and the title of the book was "Worst Calls in Sports History," and it was the third chapter or whatever was her DQ at the Olympic trials.
No way.
Wow.
What else was in that book? It's just like a trip down misery lane for
right. No, yeah, I didn't want to go through too deep into it. I just remember someone sent her the book, or found the book and then gave it to her from our club team or something. And it was like, this is insane. I can't believe this call is in here. Yeah.
The book of broken dreams. That's gonna be alternate title. Look out.
Exactly.
But so Trenton, what have you picked up then? Like when you do have setbacks, as minor as not getting a lane you want, or what do you do to put it behind you and focus on what's next? And do you apply that to back-to-back doubles of a race on a 2-hour swim?
Yeah, I definitely felt that. In the last Olympic trials, the 200 fly, my final did not go the way I hoped it would. I kind of got in my head a lot of I'm going out too fast, I'm going to die. I'm kind of overthought my race, kind of thought I wasn't doing it right, thought I saw something I needed to change, and it was obviously too late to do that the night before the race. So definitely lost that race before it started, I think. But going after that race, I the next morning I had the 2 IM, and that I think that prelim 2 IM had to be one of the hardest races I've ever had to do. But kind of just knowing it was going to be hard, knowing I wasn't going to go as fast as I could, I had to just push it with all I had in the morning and see if I could get through to the next swim. And from there, obviously, like not sleeping that well the night before, kind of just resettling myself after that prelim race and kind of being able to collect myself and know, like, the meet's not over. I still have this 2 IM. I still have 100 fly the next day. There's more chances. Like I can think about this once the meet's over.
Similar kind of vein of thought. I'd love to talk us through your mindset when you at your world record 400 medley race in Melbourne, and say Fink is at the 15 turns, and you see the lead that Fink has, that Murph gave you guys, and Fink is extending, and you're about to jump onto your 100 fly. The Italians and the Aussies are behind you, but they're coming. Where was your mind at? I mean, I would want to throw up almost with butterflies, like so nervous. Where was your mind at? What do you use to help yourself get yourself ready?
Definitely for me, right, especially the 100 butterfly for me at a race that big and like such a high pressure situation. The 100 butterfly is just a fun swim for me. It's a fun race to do. I practice, I'll swim 100 flies and 9 times out of 10 be like almost the exact same time. I remember at trials I swam within the same 10th in all 3 of my races. So it's kind of just something I go, and I know, like, no matter what I do, I can basically be within this 10th. So I just swim my race, don't try to do anything super special, be consistent, be in control, and just do my job as much as I could. Obviously, I knew, looking at the guys around me, I had 3 different world champions, on my relay. So I had a pretty stacked relay where I just needed to do my job and get my hand on the wall and swim the race that I was put on there to swim.
I thought the race that Luke was going to ask about was the long course worlds from last summer, because you have a good trials after NCAAs, after you're saying, oh, well, it wasn't your best college season last year, you finish up, but then you have a great trials, make the team and a couple events, and then you go to worlds and your 2 fly isn't on the way that you want it to be on. You don't make the final, faster in prelims than the semi. But then you turn around and swim a lifetime best split in the 2 free in the prelim, and then going into that final swim and, backing up a lackluster Olympic finish for the U.S. in the 4x2 to win a world title. I mean, and it seems like for you, you swim a long program, especially at domestic meets, and then even international meets, you sub out some of maybe the individual events that you didn't qualify for the relays. And then you've still got a lot of events to like navigate through. And it seems like, you're probably still in this process of learning how to get the body ready to peak form, but keep it there throughout the meet and also have consistency across your fly and freestyle. But after having that setback in the 2 fly and that not going the way that you wanted to last summer, what was the thoughts going into the 4x2 and then switching strokes to freestyle?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I love relays. I've always had the most fun in relays ever. And just being able to flip that switch to where, I feel like I want to be on this relay, I want to be able to put my best effort forward. And no matter what happened, if I had a bad swim before, turn it around. This relay isn't for me. This is for the other 3 guys and the country representing. This is bigger than just my swim. But I'm not going in it to just see how I can do personally. And being able to swim with 3 other guys, and my favorite relay is 800 freestyle relay. So I've always had a lot of fun in that, and I feel like I hadn't really ever gotten to do a real one, long course especially, kind of growing up. So just being able to have fun with those other 3 guys who are obviously amazing 200 freestylers, and just knowing I can fully trust all 3 of the other guys, and just swim my race to the best I can do and be able to kind of put together whatever I can put together that day.
Yeah, I can remember a similar feeling being on short course worlds relay with Nathan Adrian and Ryan Lochte. I mean, surrounded by those guys going, okay, well, I'm sort of protected in here, like I know these guys are going to swim fast. I know they consistently deliver. But what you're expressing there, especially a lot of people who thrive on the college environment and the team, it's easier to get up for individual swims when you're swimming for your college team. But then when they move into a professional or post-grad situation, some people struggle with the purpose, and getting us amped up. And there's different energy at those types of meets and long course. Obviously a little bit different. We get to the big meets and you're swimming for Team USA, right? But like, are there some things that you can learn from the mentality you just expressed about, I'm swimming for something bigger than me, I'm swimming for the other people here, as you prepare for your individual swims?
Definitely. I've kind of not played with this, but tried to experience this as I go through even tier pro meets, where it's not so much pressure being put on myself to where, this is my only chance. I need to go fast here, or I can't go fast anywhere else. And it's more of just, this is a race. I'm going to race whatever the best I can today and see how it goes. And I don't want to lose. So just try to beat the guys around me and see what I can do. And, even at the pro swim series, just like not really treating it as just a race that doesn't matter, kind of putting not the pressure on myself, but putting that kind of expectation to perform, an expectation that I want to be the best I can be right now.
You remind me of Jason Lezak's obviously epic relay anchor. And we all know that race. And your dad worked with Jason for a number of years. What's your best Jason Lezak story? Not necessarily regarding that leg, but anything else, because he was the epitome of putting USA first, dropping it down when it mattered. Like he didn't care. He went for it. He swam his lane, did his thing. What's your best dad's Jason Lezak story?
I don't know. Jason was just such an awesome guy. When I was growing up, he was kind of the guy everyone wanted to be like. That relay, seeing that finish, we've all heard the announcer and the watching the race and just almost know it word for word and everything. But it's just that race in itself was so amazing. And then seeing how he had progressed and how he had swam for years and years before that, and how consistent he had been at that high level, is just something that was so amazing. And it's kind of like he is like that level that you want to be working towards. But I think my dad and Jason were actually pretty close growing up. So a story I always remember and kind of keep close to me was they were both pretty close friends with another swimmer from high school or college, and he had a wedding in Mexico or something. And obviously as a swimmer, you don't want to take too many days off, at least touch the water or something. So he was still swimming and I was middle school or something swimming, and we had both gotten in just to practice. And I remember we were just messing around. He had done the partner kick pole, where one person swims, one person kicks. We had done that, and I just remember, even like no matter where I was in that, it was always just the crazy like power he had behind that kick, just pushing me forward. Or when I was kicking, he was just pulling me along, and I was just kind of that weight behind, trying to see if I could kick as much as I could. But being able to just kind of be in the water with him and have that experience where I'm just bright-eyed kind of kid who's trying to like seeing this Olympic level athlete who's at the top of their game, no matter like how old, I'm not even old he was getting, but like just kind of showing that your career doesn't have to stop when you're like 26. You can keep going for a little while.
No, and also one thing I do miss about the ISL was just the roles that some of our legends played and giving back to the sport and developing the sport. To see Jason as a GM, see Caitlin as a GM, it was great. And Jason was a great GM, as was proven with those championships, right, in the ISL. And I missed that. Do you miss the ISL? And do you miss more than just what we know, the camaraderie, the racing, the excitement? But do you miss how it may have been lifting sports? Do you and your dad and your mom talk about that?
Yeah, I've talked my dad being able to coach it. He kind of got that hands-on experience with the ISL and everything. Yeah, I watched it. I watched it from home every time.
Yeah.
I love watching swimming, so I just watched the racing, watched how much fun it looked like people were having, and I'm they would pan to the coaches and pan to the GMs every once in a while on how invested they were in everything. Just was so awesome to see. And something you don't get to see all that often is seeing those alumni of the sport or kind of past figures and past stars kind of being so invested in it and so excited for fast swimming and just racing.
You mean you didn't go to the local Cali Condors sports bar and watch?
Unfortunately not.
What do you think is next for swimming then? With no, I mean, ISL doesn't look like it's going to happen again. So what's next to grow the sport of swimming? What do you think?
It's hard. I mean, I think it's really important that people are swimming fast, not just during Olympic years. I feel like in the past it's kind of been obviously taken away from like Worlds 2009 and a couple different swimmers during Worlds throughout the years. I feel like the Olympics has been where people like, this is like the important one. We need to be on here, fast here, and then kind of training through the rest of the 3 years almost.
Yeah.
And I think how important it is that people are being able to swim fast all the time and how fast the sport is getting by itself. So people have to be able to swim fast. You can't get away with, having like an easy swim or a swim where you're just kind of not having to give it your all. Where, guys like kids like Ilya going 54.4 at a tier pro meet, it's not really something you've seen very often. And kind of pushing the sport to being fast more frequently, I feel like pushes the just popularity and kind of getting the sport out there more often and how consistent it is.
But so, a lot of us swam in an era where, and even to some extent yourself, right? Like in programs and training groups where the expectation is that there's a trough and a deep training load and then a peak, and your peak performance is perhaps going to be negatively impacted by swimming faster in season and being fresher throughout the year. Do you think that was just like a misunderstanding of human physiology? It sounds like you're at this point where your training now is to be able to stand up and swim fast. And so obviously like you put in hard work, but you're putting in only so much hard work that like as much as you can, but still to come to meets and be reasonably fast. So do you think that the sport is missing out on like higher highs because we're trending in a direction of consistently fast throughout the year?
I think definitely we can see that a little more, the kind of just change. We saw ISL, so many people swimming so fast, so frequently. It didn't hinder them. You see a lot of the people who are top there are now breaking world records, are now top of the world championships, are now just being able to get more opportunities to race, more opportunities to race the best in the world and get that confidence, get that just experience and being able to understand that so many more people can race at that level. And just being able to, it's like in college swimming where, you see one person break a barrier and then next couple of years, just more people follow to where that barrier is just something that is almost seen across the board. But definitely is kind of pushing that popularity, pushing that kind of just knowledge of the sport and people being able to know kind of what's happening, I think.
One topic I wanted to hit, just because your dad has gone through this cancer battle and is thankfully on the right side of it right now. But I remember reading just some reactions that he had reflecting on being cancer free, and he mentioned being so in awe of just observing and watching your process and your development. A, what does that mean to you? And B, what do you think he means by that?
I mean, to me, it means the world. When he first was diagnosed was when I was in high school, and it kind of almost was like a switch to me to where it's like, okay, like I don't know what's certain now. I need to at least do something. I want to show him something before, no matter before we don't know what could happen. So that was just kind of where I was like, okay, like it's time to get going. It's time to do something pretty crazy or do something pretty great, and be able to kind of get him excited and get him, being able to look forward to that. And as you said, him kind of having that outlook on me, and I think he's always been supportive of me and helped me through whatever I need. So I think he's always just been super excited whenever I'm doing well or whenever I'm happy. So it's just having that support behind me is just one of the best things in the world. And I have no doubt in my mind that he's not expecting more, but he knows I can do more and is always ready to see me do well.
Mhm.
Awesome. That's inspiring. All right, man, we got some rapid fire to wrap up before we let you go.
All right, sounds good.
What's the hardest race in swimming?
400 IM.
Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
Do you pee in the pool?
Yes.
What is your current pump up song, or what's on your playlist?
Eminem.
Anything Eminem?
Lose Yourself. Yeah.
What are you currently watching or reading?
Dude, I don't really have anything right now. I kind of rewatched Avatar: The Last Airbender recently. That was kind of random, but we watched that during the meet. But yeah.
Roll on Bears or fight on?
Roll on Bears.
What's the best race you ever saw live?
Best race I ever saw live? Oh shoot, I don't know. That's hard. Wow. 100 fly final Olympic trials 2016, I think it was.
Okay. What is the most amazing thing you've seen someone do in practice?
What's an amazing thing in practice? Wow. I mean, I've maybe Tom 150 fly. I want to say, I don't really remember the time. I just remember I just was swimming next to him and I could barely see his feet at the 75.
Do you remember?
It was 150 yards.
All right, admission. How much social kick do you guys do?
Couple times a week, especially on Thursdays. We have a recovery day, so sometimes it's like up to 400 social kick. So
400, nice.
That'd take us about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't know. How long, Luke?
Yeah, that itself probably takes like 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, for sure.
All right, then that's an hour.
Luke's the slowest kicker in the world. So
I focus on the social side.
Yeah, that's the important side.
Oh man! All right, Trenton.
Too much.
Trenton, what's next for you?
Training down here at Mission. I got Smock coming up, so I'm getting ready to kind of swim some off events there, swimming to champions, and then after that, I got the Tier Pro Series in Mission. Gonna swim some events again there. Otherwise, just kind of getting ready to race, getting some training in while I can, getting ready for the World's qualifying meet.
Sick. Awesome. Well, dude, it's fun to chat with you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was fun.
All right, that's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it. And be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website,